Hey y'all, and welcome to the first garden tour of the year. This one's always really exciting because yeah, things are already growing, there's things happening, but this is very early on, and so you get to be here from the beginning. You get to watch it grow, you get to be with us as we harvest it, as we cook it, as we preserve it. And I just think it's really exciting. The roosters are apparently really excited and happy to be talking to you today too. I see a little one had the garden hoe out here helping me yesterday. We left it laying out in the garden. I'll have to get that picked up. There's some toy cars and just real life things that happen when you have kids that are helping you in the garden. I actually filmed this yesterday, but there was a lot going on outside and a lot of background noise, so I decided I'd pick the camera up and refilm it for you today. A little more peaceful, hopefully, if the roosters decide to let me talk. But there was lawnmowers going and just all kinds of things going on yesterday, so I decided I'd refilm it and share my garden with you. If you happen to be new, welcome. I'm Tiffany and this is Our Small Town Life. My family of 7, we live on a 1-acre homestead. We do a lot on a little bit of land and enjoy sharing that with you and encouraging you along the way. My hope with sharing my garden with you is to maybe teach you some things, show you how I do things, and help you along the way, encourage you to grow something. Grow something, y'all. It's so rewarding to be there, to see the growth, and then to harvest and be able to use it to feed your family or just to grow something beautiful. I grow things that are just beautiful because I enjoy looking at them as well. So we have a few garden spaces and I'm going to show you some of those today, as well as show you some of the things that are growing wild around here right now. We also have a second garden space, actually a couple of other garden spaces that we do with my mom and stepdad that we're in the process of getting ready to plant. So I don't know that I'll show you those in this video, but I'm going to show you what we already have going, and then as we plant the other garden spaces, you'll get to come along with us for that as well. This right here is what I call our back porch garden. It's right off of our back porch, and I enjoy being able to sit on the porch and look at it. And it's a smaller space compared to the one that we do with my mom and stepdad, but this space here grows a lot of food for us. In the last video that I did for you, it was a vlog, and I was showing you that I was topping some of my onions. I've started on some. These down here haven't been done yet, but I put those on the dehydrator to make some green onion powder. Let's start over here on this side. So right here on this, I think it's like a plant hook, I have some beans planted. I grew some beans on this last year and they climbed up it and were just so beautiful. And just from the couple of beans that I had growing on this last year, we harvested a lot. Now the beans that I'm growing this year, I don't know the exact variety. I call them pawpaw beans. These are beans that Pawpaw has grown for the last 30 plus years, and he saves seed every year and they do really well. They're highly acclimated to our area after so long. And so this year I planted pawpaw beans. That's one of my main goals this year, is to plant a lot of green beans. So I'll show you where I have the others planted. But we're going to let this one climb up this plant hook. And last year Audrey made me a sign that I hung on this. I hung it right here off the top and it broke. So I'm going to have her make me a new sign this year. Over here on this edge, I put out some wildflowers. It's really hard for us to get anything to grow on this side of this garden. I think it's because of the roots from some of the trees that are over here. But I did notice some of the flowers are coming up and some volunteers. So this is a volunteer tomato. I have no clue what variety this is. But, we'll find out. We're going to let it grow. Next to that, I have a row of peppers, and most of these peppers we started from seed. This very first one is a Tabasco, and y'all, really, I should have pulled these off. I was pulling them off, but they started growing so quick I didn't keep up with it. I usually let the plant get a little bit bigger before I let it start making peppers, but I don't know, I may just let it go. And then I've got some cayenne that I started from seed. some bell peppers that I started from seed. I did get this lunchbox orange from our local farmers co-op. We had a storm last night, so some of the leaves are a little dirty. And then these last three are banana peppers, and I got those from the co-op. I need the squirrels to not bring the black walnuts into the garden. Now back here I have 2 cages with cucumbers growing on them. And I think when I first planted these, I had a turkey that got over here, and it was either the turkey or one of the chickens ate some of the little seedlings. And so there's still a couple though that are coming up. These are national pickling. And then back here, I believe this back here on this one is market more cucumbers. And when I noticed some of them were either not coming up or had been eaten, I planted a few more and they're starting to come up. My row of sunflowers out here are doing really well, especially the ones over on that side. These are from some seed that we saved from sunflowers last year. Oh, and y'all, my cabbage. In this particular garden space, I have really tried to develop some organic gardening skills, organic fertilizers, using more compost, making your own compost and using it, natural pest control. The cabbage is one of those things that I've just not figured out how to grow organically. So if you have any tips, let me know. In the fall, we'll probably be planting some cabbage and using some products and things that I know work. I feel like I've tried it all when it comes to organically growing cabbage. If you got any tips, I'd love to hear them. That's just one thing that I've not been able to fine tune. This cabbage may end up just being pulled up and fed to the chickens because I think it's about too far gone. And that's just real life, y'all. When you grow things, it's a learning process. I'm trying to learn new things here. And even when something doesn't work out just exactly like you think it should or like you want it to, you can still learn from it. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's a failure. It just means it didn't work out like you thought. I've got to get in between my beans and my peas here and pull out some of this grass, but I have a row of pink eye purple hull peas, and then right here I have more of my pawpaw beans. Some of them are already starting to climb and do very well. These beans, I'm telling you, they've always done wonderful for pawpaw, so I'm excited to be growing them over here. Now, is it ideal for me to have them right here kind of in the center of my garden, because they will grow all the way up these poles? What I've done is just taken some T-post, and then I got some of these, I call them bean poles. I don't know exactly what they are, but I got them from Pawpaw. It's what he uses. We've stuck those in the ground and ran some string. I know that in this garden space, anything past this point, I struggle getting it to grow. It's really a, it's an experiment putting the peppers over here this year. So far, they're doing good though. And I knew I didn't want my beans to be any further than this point because I'm really wanting to preserve a lot of beans this year, and I wanted to make sure they were in a place where they do really well. So this is where our beans are. Right here towards the front, I have some radishes. We've already been eating a lot of radishes. I may pull some more of these. I kind of thought about letting some of them go to seed. We really enjoyed eating the little seed pods from the radishes last year, so I thought about letting these go to seed so that we could enjoy those. And then beside the beans, I have my tomatoes, and we're doing a Florida weave on our tomatoes again this year. So about every 3 plants we have a T-post, and then we're just weaving the string on each side of the plant for support. I had mentioned in a video that I was pruning tomatoes, and somebody said, what do you mean? And I don't know, maybe I can find one here so I can show you. Yeah. So for tomatoes, I try to keep the main stalk. Let me show you. So here's my main stalk of the tomato, and this branch comes off, and right here in the middle, That's a sucker that I'm going to pinch off. There's an aphid. Let's get rid of you. And I found that my indeterminate tomato plants produce a lot better when I do that. Now, if you have a determinate variety, I wouldn't. I would just let those grow because they already have a determined amount of fruit that they're going to produce. But these indeterminates that will just grow and grow and grow, this is what I like to do. It keeps them under control. It keeps them from bending and breaking. I also cut off any branches towards the bottom that are going to be dragging the ground. Like this one right here is probably about to come off, because that's how you get some diseases. Already got some beautiful tomatoes growing, and I did the same thing kind of like with my peppers. Until these got to a couple of feet tall, I pinched off any blooms so that the plant could work on growing taller and stronger, and now I'm letting it fruit and make tomatoes. I started a lot of my tomatoes from seed this year as well. These first two are lemon boys, and I did buy those from a garden store. All of the rest we started from seed. The two that are in cages over here, those are jelly bean tomatoes, like a small grape tomato. And then past the lemon boys, I have some early girls, some better boys, and I also did giant pink Belgiums. Those were the varieties that I decided to grow here in this garden space this year. I have to get something to tie this one to this string right here. I have some clips that I used for that. The storm blew this one a little bit. Looks like the storm also broke some of the squash. Oh, we have some yellow summer squash plants, and they are doing well. The storm last night broke some of the leaves, but they're doing well. And I actually have a space right here where some of the yellow squash didn't come up. I'm not real sure why, but or maybe I didn't plant any there. No, I think I did, because I have another yellow squash down past the tomatoes. Before I put the tomatoes here, I think I had planted this whole row in summer squash, but I don't think this right here came up. So I'm actually going to go back and put some zucchini seeds there, I think. Y'all, look at this. I am excited about my loofah. I'm so excited about this loofah. This will be my first year growing loofah. I'm going to put a cattle panel trellis here for them to grow on. Had a couple of those that didn't come up and I restarted them, so this is a smaller one. This is another loofah. And then I also put, I think this right here is a Georgia candy roaster. We grew those last year and they were amazing, y'all. Take a look at this little plant right here. Hopefully in a couple of months I can show you something pretty amazing that comes from just this one little plant right here, because last year these amazed me. We're going to try growing these on the cattle panel trellis this year as well. Up to the front of the garden, I put another cage here to grow some more cucumber on, just to kind of compare growing cucumber at the back of the garden versus the front of the garden. I started a couple of these sunflower seeds here. The rest are volunteers that came up from seed that got dropped last year. I also put out some flower seeds here, but then a lot of them are volunteers, and we've just kind of let it go to see what happens and what all we get right here. This garlic is going to be ready to harvest very soon. I cut the scapes off of some of it that I'm going to dehydrate and freeze, and then I left it on some for the bees, but that garlic will be ready to come up pretty soon. Speaking of volunteer plants, over here where these flowers are coming up and planted, and volunteer flowers and all those things. Do you see this? Do y'all know what that is? Some of you will, I think. That is cucamelon. The first year that I tried to grow cucamelon, I struggled so much. And then last year they did well. And now I didn't even plant any. And there are volunteer cucamelons everywhere. And we also put a few marigolds out here. We'll see how they do. I'd like to have some marigolds growing in my garden. These right here are volunteer pumpkins. We had just left some pumpkins laying right here last year to decompose in the garden, and we have some beautiful volunteers that I'm just kind of letting do their thing since they worked so hard to come up. We're gonna see what they do. It's a little earlier than I'd normally plant pumpkins. We are gonna try to grow some pumpkins this year, but these came up on their own, so we're letting them do their thing. Now this elderberry is growing wild. This was actually a very small plant last year, maybe a foot tall, and it's growing well and will give us, hopefully give us some berries this year. Oh look, this one's starting to open into its flowers. This elderberry is massive. It is humongous, and it is going to be, good Lord willing, loaded with elderberries this year. I mean, it's probably, I don't know, 15 feet tall. Maybe even more than that, I don't know. Oh, I knew they were coming. There's the Japanese beetles. The Japanese beetles love the elderberry, so I'm going to get some of the Japanese beetle traps and go ahead and put them out before they take over. The geese are going to talk to you over here, but this is another garden space that we started this year where we put our potatoes. We have Kennebec. We also have, so the majority of this is Kennebec, and then I have some of our potatoes from last year, the red potatoes that we left for seed. I've got some of those on the front row, and then some grocery store potatoes down there at the end that sprouted. But the majority of this is Kennebec, and they've done really well. Most of the flowers have bloomed and have fallen off. We're going to let these die back a little bit, and then we'll dig them up. I have, out of curiosity, gone ahead and dug some of the dirt out. Potatoes are one of those things that you can't see until you dig them up, and so out of curiosity to see how they were doing, I brushed some of the dirt back, and I've seen some beautiful, beautiful potatoes. I am really looking forward to harvesting these, and of course bringing you along for that. I enjoyed harvesting potatoes last year, and I'm hoping, again, good Lord willing, that we have a wonderful harvest again this year. And then in front of the potatoes, all of this space here is planted with watermelons. We've got some sugar babies, and they're coming up. And then I also have down the other end, I think they're called Orangelo, the orange watermelons, like what we planted last year, that were delicious. Some of them are coming up down there. The only other thing is I want to plant some cantaloupe. I have some cantaloupe, and I may just go ahead and use those because I have them, but Paw said if I could find Rocky Ford cantaloupe seeds, that they are the best. And if Paw says that, then I know that that's the truth. I've seen some on Etsy, so maybe I can order some and get them in. But Paw says if I can find Rocky Ford cantaloupe, that's the best. Like I said, I've got some seeds that I may use because I have them, but I would love to find some of those that Paw mentioned. It looks like every hill that I've got watermelon planted in, though, it's coming up. I know it's kind of hard for you to see when I just show you down through there, but I see watermelon coming up, and it looks like in every single hill that I planted, I can see what will hopefully be some beautiful watermelon plants. Audrey's garden bed is doing good over here. I just love to see what all is growing out here in this pile. There's some more elderberry. These are volunteer sunflowers that came up, and they're already probably 6 feet tall. I've also already pulled some garlic that was volunteer that came up out here. The wild blackberries, they're not ready yet, but they're getting there. And we also want to pick a bunch of blackberries over at my brother-in-law's so that we can make a bunch of jelly and things. some that are trying to get dark. This is another elderberry over here. It's really starting to open up. I just walked past the bees and they are doing great. I love when I see them out and about working and doing their thing. Because of the weather we had, they're not quite as active today, but they're doing good. I'm gonna walk over here so we can show you I can show you the strawberries and the blackberries and things that are growing over here, the fig. But talking about the bees, I've opened it up and done a few hive inspections and have been able to see the little baby bees and see the different stages. Our queen is doing good. It's really exciting to learn about the bees and to watch them. David's just getting home in his big truck, but Mom said he planted in this spot right here some squash, some yellow summer squash, some zucchini, and some patty pan squash. I'm walking over here to where our largest garden space will be. This one must be a volunteer because the seeds he planted haven't had time to come up yet, so this must be a volunteer from last year. It'll probably be, if I had to guess, a hybrid because of all the different things that we had planted here. It'll probably be a mix. These are the other blackberries. Now these are not wild blackberries, so these don't have thorns. They make a bigger berry. They do have larger seeds in them, but they're doing good. We are going to put up some T-posts and get these strung up on those, but they're doing really well. You can tell the difference. Like they're already larger and they're still green. This is a fig that we started last year, and it has come back and is doing good this year. We even had a few little figs on it last year. We'll see what happens, how much it grows this year. Stay tuned. And then these strawberries are the last thing that I wanted to show you over here. I've shown some clips here and there and videos of us coming over here and getting strawberries. We did not plant this bed full last year and it's just exploded and filled out. So we're gonna take some of these. So strawberries make runners, and then these runners, oh, the bird's been after that one. These runners come off and try to put roots in the ground. Let's see if we can show you. So you can take these and plant those and have another strawberry bush. So that's why this is filled out so much. So we're gonna start a second bed. This is in like a big pallet. Really pulley. This is in a big pallet. And so we're gonna start a second bed just like this and take some of these off of here to do that. Hopefully before long I'll be able to show you things growing over here in this space as well, weather permitting, because we need to get it planted. It's kind of what happened last year as well. I started this space over here behind the house before we started the other garden, and we were eating from it while the other was growing. And because we have such a long growing season here, we have plenty of time to grow all the things. Oh, this is standing in water right here. Oh no. Tiptoe, tiptoe. Here are my herbs. Doing wonderful. My mint came back from last year. Mint's good at that. I got peppermint and chocolate mint, and then I put this lemon balm back in this year, and rosemary and basil, and then I've still got to get my dill to go down here on the end, but we for sure want to get that because I use a lot of it. And I thought some might come back this year, but I've not seen any, so we'll get some more. There's just a little peek at those blackberries that we put here on the corner of the house, and Justin said probably next year the plan is we're going to plant this whole side of the house in different berries. It's easy to want to do all the things all at once. We have to prioritize. That's the first garden tour of the season. I hope y'all enjoyed it. I can't wait to show you as these things grow. If you got any gardening questions, I'd love to hear them. I want to be here to encourage you and to remind you that there's no one way to do it. We all do things a little bit different. There's some helpful information though, and I like to share that with you and show you the way Pawpaw taught me to grow things. So come along, be a part of our gardening journey with us. Let's grow some food, cook some food, preserve some food for our families this year. I love you. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.